6 rare traits of people with extremely high focus. Most people think focus is about trying harder, pushing longer, or forcing yourself to sit still. But what if the truth is quieter than that, and far more dangerous to ignore? There's a moment you've felt before. You sit down, ready to work, full of intention. The plan is clear. The energy is there. But then something small pulls at your attention. A notification, a random thought, a memory, and suddenly, your mind begins to drift like a boat without an anchor. Minutes turn into hours. And at the end of the day, you don't feel tired from effort. You feel drained from avoidance. This isn't laziness. It's something deeper, something more invisible. A silent leak in your mental energy that most people never learn to control. What makes this even more frustrating is that you've seen the opposite. People who can sit for hours, deeply immersed, almost untouched by distraction. They don't seem superhuman. They don't look different. But something about their behavior feels intentional, controlled, like they're operating in a different mental environment altogether. And the truth is, they are. Focus is not a talent. It's not something you're born with or without. It's a system, a structure, a set of invisible rules your mind follows every day. And most people are unknowingly breaking those rules over and over again. The first rare trait of people with extremely high focus is that they don't fight distraction. They design against it. Most people rely on willpower, believing that resisting temptation is the key. But willpower is fragile. It gets weaker with every decision you make throughout the day. This is called decision fatigue, and it quietly drains your ability to stay disciplined. Highly focused individuals understand this deeply. So instead of constantly choosing to stay focused, they remove the need to choose at all. They shape their environment in a way that makes distraction inconvenient. Their phone is not within reach. Their workspace is not cluttered with triggers. Even their digital space is intentional, because they know that every small visual cue creates an open loop in the mind. And open loops demand attention. When your environment is full of these loops, your focus doesn't stand a chance. But here's the subtle shift. They don't see this as restriction. They see it as protection. They are not limiting their freedom. They are protecting their attention, the most valuable resource they have. And once you begin to see attention as something that must be guarded, everything changes. The second trait is quieter, but even more powerful. They have a different relationship with boredom. Most people run from it. The moment things become slow or uncomfortable, they reach for stimulation. A quick scroll, quick video, a quick escape. But every time you do this, you train your brain to expect constant novelty. And over time, your ability to focus on anything that isn't instantly rewarding begins to decay. Highly focused individuals do the opposite. They lean into boredom. They allow their mind to sit in that uncomfortable space without immediately escaping it. Because they understand something most people don't. Boredom is not the enemy of focus. It is the gateway to it. When you resist the urge to escape boredom, your brain begins to recalibrate. It lowers its dependency on high stimulation. It becomes more sensitive to subtle progress, deeper thinking, and long-term rewards. This is how focus is rebuilt. Not through intensity, but through patience. And there's a deeper psychological layer here. Every time you escape boredom, you reinforce a habit loop. Cue, discomfort. Action, distraction. Reward, temporary relief. This loop becomes automatic. But when you interrupt it, when you sit with the discomfort instead of escaping it, you begin to break the loop. And slowly, your mind learns a new pattern. The third trait is their ability to close mental loops. Most people carry unfinished thoughts throughout the day. Things they said, things they need to do, things they forgot. These open loops sit in the background of the mind, quietly consuming cognitive energy. You may not notice them directly, but you feel their weight. That constant sense of mental clutter. Highly focused individuals have a habit of capturing these thoughts externally. Not in a complicated system, just enough to release them from the mind. Because the brain is not designed to store tasks. It is designed to process them. This is where cognitive load comes into play. The more your mind tries to hold onto incomplete information, the less capacity it has for deep work. By externalizing these thoughts, you free up mental space. And with that space comes clarity. And with clarity comes focus. But there's something deeper happening here. When you close loops, you send a signal to your brain that things are under control. This reduces background anxiety. And when anxiety drops, your attention stabilizes. Focus is not just about discipline. It is about emotional regulation. The fourth trait is something most people overlook entirely. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on identity. Most people wait to feel ready before they start. They wait for the right mood, the right energy, the right moment. But motivation is unpredictable. Comes and goes like the weather. Highly focused individuals don't wait. They act from a different place. They see themselves as the kind of person who does the work, regardless of how they feel. This is an identity shift, and it changes everything. When your actions are tied to identity, they become automatic. You don't debate whether to start. You don't negotiate with yourself. You simply act, because that's who you are. And over time, this consistency reinforces the identity even further. It becomes a feedback loop. There's a psychological principle at play here called cognitive dissonance. When your actions don't align with your identity, your mind experiences discomfort. So it either changes the behavior or the belief. Highly focused individuals use this to their advantage. They build an identity that demands focused behavior, and their actions follow naturally. The fifth trait is their relationship with time. Most people see time as something to manage, something to organize and control. But highly focused individuals see time differently. They see it as energy. They understand that not all hours are equal, that your ability to focus fluctuates throughout the day. So instead of forcing themselves to work at random times, they align their most important tasks with their peak energy periods. This is not about working more. It's about working with your biology instead of against it. Your brain has natural cycles, periods of high alertness and periods of fatigue. When you ignore these cycles, everything feels harder. Focus becomes a struggle. But when you align with them, something shifts. Work begins to feel smoother. Effort feels lighter. And results come faster. This is not luck. It is alignment. And there's another layer. They protect these peak periods fiercely. They don't schedule shallow tasks during these times. They don't allow interruptions. Because they know that a single distraction during deep focus can break the entire flow. This is tied to a concept called attention residue. When you switch tasks, a part of your attention stays stuck on the previous one. This reduces your cognitive performance on the next task. Highly focused individuals avoid this trap by minimizing context switching. They stay with one thing, fully. The sixth trait is perhaps the most subtle, yet the most transformative. They have trained their mind to return. Not perfectly, not instantly, but consistently. Because here's the truth no one tells you. Even the most focused people get distracted. Their mind wanders. Their attention slips. But the difference is they don't stay lost. The moment they notice the distraction, they gently bring their attention back. Without frustration, without judgment, just a quiet return. Again and again. This builds a mental muscle, the ability to notice and redirect attention. Over time, this becomes automatic. And this is what true focus looks like. Not the absence of distraction, but the mastery of returning. There's a powerful psychological insight here. Awareness precedes control. If you are not aware that your attention has drifted, you cannot bring it back. So the goal is not to eliminate distraction entirely. It is to increase awareness. And this awareness grows through repetition. Every time you notice your mind drifting and bring it back, you strengthen this ability. It's slow, subtle, but incredibly powerful. When you step back and look at these traits together, something becomes clear. Focus is not a single skill. It is a system of behaviors, environments, and mental patterns working together. It is the way you design your surroundings, the way you respond to boredom, the way you manage mental clutter, the way you see yourself, the way you use your time, and the way you return when you drift. Most people try to fix focus by adding more effort, more pressure, more force. But that approach rarely works, because focus is not something you force. It is something you allow. You allow it by removing friction, by reducing noise, by aligning your actions with your identity, by creating an environment where focus becomes the default, not the exception. And this is where everything begins to change. Not in a dramatic, overnight transformation, but in small, quiet shifts. The way you place your phone, the way you respond to boredom, the way you start your work even when you don't feel like it. These moments seem insignificant, but they compound, slowly, silently, until one day you realize something has changed. You sit down to work, and instead of resistance, there is clarity. Instead of distraction, there is presence. Instead of forcing yourself to focus, you simply are focused. And in that moment, you understand something most people never will. That focus was never about controlling your mind. It was about understanding it. So maybe today you don't try to do everything differently. Maybe you don't chase perfection. Maybe you just notice one thing, one small behavior, one pattern, one moment where your attention slips. And instead of ignoring it, you pause. You become aware, and you gently bring it back. Because that small act, repeated over time, is how focus is built. Not loudly, not instantly, but quietly and permanently.